Remember that clock from our last video? That's where this one begins. It all started after making this headphone stand. Bringing it out to show off to my brothers, letting their excitement and awe carry my motivation into a similar project. I asked my wife to find something trendy, and she found these. This being modeled after my own arm, I started off with a hand blank and a forearm blank. I roughly measured my arm to get the proportions down. In my hand, I just eyeballed the shapes of my fingers and my palm. Moving on to the ball light, that's from Amazon, and it's not too expensive, and it's pretty cool. Affiliate link below. Starting the carving process stressed me out. Not having a great clamp to clamp this piece down and throwing in the organic shape of this project in general just made it worse. I ended up buying an Irwin vise and had it sitting around for about 2 weeks now before this project, knowing I wanted something to provide good clamping force that wasn't just a big metal heavy-duty vise that I have also sitting around. And I decided this was the perfect project to mount this thing and actually use it, so that's what I did. Now with the camera adjusted and me feeling much safer, I started roughly carving the arm for the second time. In between each rotation in the vise, I was always being mindful of the wrist girth here, knowing it had to match up with the hand eventually. Unfortunately, I scrapped my original idea, and keeping the wrist thick didn't really matter. You'll see why later on. With the rough shaping of the arm done, we start with the hand. Anytime I can use a 1-inch belt sander on my projects, I do. I love belt sanders and I can't wait to get larger ones down the line, but this thing has saved me so much time and has been just put through the uses so long. It was my first big tool and it's one of my favorite things to use. So that's where I start. I mentioned my rotary tool in the last video as well. Being an organic shape, this project is perfect for it because there's a ton of carving that's going to happen. But unfortunately, I bought the wrong burrs for it, and the burrs I bought were initially for metal. So I do what I always do when something's not working and did some research. Everything from Reddit to Google to YouTube videos all pointed me in the direction of these Cutzel bits, and so I waited a couple days and eventually got them. And I must say, they work great. Now, having the right tools for the right job, I can sit and enjoy the process. Carving away millimeter by millimeter, checking and comparing with my own hand, putting the globe light in it, and seeing how it looks in relation to the palm and the bending of the fingers, and just getting excited. This is, again, like some of the best feelings you can have while crafting something, is watching the project come to life and that initial image in your brain being brought into a tangible product. Moving on from my CNC table to a more appropriate spot for this rotary tool setup, I sit down and start carving away. The reason the CNC table just wasn't a functional spot for this tool is because it's kind of higher up off the floor, and the rotary tool has a pedal instead of a switch just to turn on so you can control the RPMs of the actual burrs. And so what I was doing in the last clip, you can see, is I have the pedal in between my abdomen and the tool, and I'm just leaning into it. And that is definitely not the way this tool is intended to be used. And I decided to kind of whip up a quick 2x4 stand for this tool, and it worked out fine. But down the line, I kind of want to set up an actual carving station in my shop. I just don't think I have the room right now for it. So I'll jerry-rig some goofiness together until then. Also, I need some advice. I'm not sure how much footage to add in this case because carving this hand took hours upon hours, and I'm trying to create a video that people want to watch and that my own self would watch, so it's kind of hard to gauge. And feedback here is super important, so anything in the comments I'd be very grateful for. Please let me know what you think. And here is the version that I would find entertaining. And here's a quick update on how it's looking so far. And like every project, we are just refining it more and more, getting one step closer to sanding. It was right about this time when I realized I needed to take it from 90 degrees from the base to about 30 degrees, and that's what you see me doing here. Right here, I would say we're getting to the 99% sanding, rough shaping of this arm. You can see me in this clip kind of holding my arm out and looking at my wrist and how it's like bending, and where the thin parts are on the actual arm and where the thicker parts are. And that's what I'm trying to emulate in this forearm. We are doing this right now because we're planning on attaching this hand here pretty soon. And this is me just going through the sanding processes to get it to the right shape. And then we are going to attach the hand, glue it and screw it, pull the screw out, dowel it, and then go to carving it and sanding it all together. A lot of steps here, but we are just focusing on the forearm shape and how it's going to join with the hand and look more natural. Here I am trying to be proactive with the sanding, and I'm satisfied with the shape of the forearm at this point, so I sanded it from 100 all the way up to 1000 grit sandpaper. I did this before attaching the hand, primarily because the orbital sander wouldn't be able to get all those tight corners when the hand is bending over. If I were to attach the hand first and then try to sand it, it just wouldn't have turned out as nice. So here is 30 minutes condensed down into a minute and a half. Moving on to the base, I knew I wanted decently large curved edges. I thought it fitting to use the orbital sander, as this project required a ton of sanding. So that's what I did. I traced the rounded edges, used a flat edge to connect them and got a shape that I liked. I then proceeded to cut it out, and just like the past scrap wood clock projects, I got all the cut off pieces that I didn't use and glued it to the template that I just cut out from the bandsaw. Rewatching this video, I can now see where I had a big problem. Right here you see me trace on the original arm outline. But if you look at our arms, they're actually kind of more like a cone, in which as you get closer to the wrist, it thins out, and the bottom of the arm, it gets thicker. The problem is I'm going to mount this to the base, and because it's shaped like a cone, the only way I could do that while maintaining a good reveal on the forearm is by doing it from the back and hogging out a cone shape in the bottom of the base and sliding the arm up. I think if I could have CNC'd a nice clean shape on the bottom of the forearm and a clean shape that would attach into the base, that's probably how I would have had the best transition. But as I did not do this, and this is my first time doing anything remotely like this, while trying to maintain a good organic shape, I ran into the problem of my reveal line just being kind of uneven and just leaving me with a little bit of wanting more. But that is how woodworking goes, and like anything in life, when you make a mistake or you realize you could have done something better, you take that knowledge and you apply it moving forward. Now we're moving on to hogging out all that interior material so that the arm can recess into the base and be really nice and strong when we set it in with some resin and dowels. So right now I'm just routing out the area that I traced, and then I'm going to use the rotary carver to carve out the appropriate angles in the front and the back so that the arm can kind of slide in and hold itself in place. This is a really fun part and takes a little bit of time, but it looked good enough for me to be happy with it, but also made me think about how I would do it differently the next time I do this. And here's another update on how everything's joining together and coming along.
He looks concerned.
Oh, no.
Now we're moving on to the finishing sanding of the hand, and that's what you see me doing here. Just sanding, sanding, sanding. I'm hoping to get a better rotary little sander that is like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch in size. I'm not sure what I can do yet, just because hand sanding this tight of radiuses is very difficult, and I just don't feel like, I mean, it's just I lack in patience, man. I'm a Gen Zer all the way, and that's why I try to avoid watching YouTube shorts, and I don't have TikTok yet. Although I think I will download TikTok just for the sake of my growth on this channel. And, you know, like, I think the whole goal of this project is prototyping for potentially products down the line. And I do think something along these lines of a lamp or a headphone stand or even a clock is something that could be something I end up selling in the future. From here, we are going to focus on the base. I did a whole bunch of sanding of this off camera. This is actually really easy to sand, and I was just so pleased because it's a flat surface and there's no complex concave or convex shapes that I need to worry about or be concerned with. And so I'm just getting the resin ready, and we're going to mount the arm and pour the resin around it and set it and forget it for about a day. Once the resin is cured, we're able to hide our screw hole with a dowel and add another one for support. We will also run a few dowels on the bottom of the base to the forearm and glue, plug, and cut all of them, followed by a good sanding. Now this leads us to the closure of this video. I hope you learned something, got inspired, or just enjoyed the muted sounds of tools, subtle music, and my narration. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a lovely day or night. Peace out.